Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. Voters in Bosnian Serbs' majority political entity, Republika Srpska, have headed to the polls in a snap election triggered by the ouster of longtime nationalist leader Milorad Dodik. His close ally, Siniša Karan, has emerged as the winner, defeating an opposition candidate who campaigned on reform. Now, the result raises new questions about the region's political direction and the durability of its fragile peace. Now, to help us understand the implications, what it means, we're joined now by Paulina Wankiewicz-Kłoczko, Western Balkans Research Fellow at the Center for Eastern Studies. Good to have you in the program. Welcome.
Good morning.
So can you please just put it into context a little bit? I mean, a political entity in a very complex country of Bosnia-Herzegovina, the difference between these two men, tell us briefly, and what kind of implications this election has.
I think it's important to come back why we have a presidential election in this entity. It is because the former president, Milorad Dodik, was removed from his office after the court of Bosnia and Herzegovina ruling that he is banned for 6 years of political activity in the country. So it was the need for the new election. And here we go. We've got two candidates, which are the most important. There are the others, but they have like slightly no chance of winning. So here is Siniša Karan, which is supported by Milorad Dodik, the Bosnian Serb leader, and also the president of Social Democrats in Republika Srpska, and the other one, the opposition leader, supported by the opposition, Branko Blanuša. When we think about the difference, Social Democrats, they've been in power for almost 20 years in Republika Srpska. So here it is kind of continuation of their policy, which is very nationalistic. And the other candidate, it was supported not only by the Serb Democratic Party, but also the other opposition parties in Republika Srpska.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned this new man, Mr. Karan. Now, this is the right-hand man in many ways to Milorad Dodik. How much is this something new? Will this be a continuation of the old? I mean, Dodik himself was ousted much because he was against a lot of the agreements there set up by, powers, the Dayton Agreement, etc., talking about secession. So is this going to now continue, or is this a sort of a reset? How do we see this? I mean,
the whole campaign was conducted by Milorad Dodik itself. So when you watched Bosnian or television from Republika Srpska, you might have feeling that it's all like the main candidate. It's not Siniša Karan, but Milorad Dodik. So even the main campaign title was "For Karan, for Dodik." So it shows that he will be not important and not strong figure, rather a puppet of Bosnian Serb leader. So it's like possible that it will be, and I'm almost sure that it will be the continuation of this politics of Dodik.
Mm-hmm. So continuation of that, I mean, there's also the very close connections Republika Srpska always has had with Serbia. So with Vučić, their President Vučić, they share that close connection. How is that relationship going to continue now?
I mean, it's the relationship with Vučić. It was always difficult for Milorad Dodik. He's aware that he needs his support support from Belgrade, but for Belgrade, the most important thing is to have someone they can control in Republika Srpska. They are important also in terms of elections in Serbia, because the voters from Republika Srpska are often voting in the Serbia election, which raise many questions. So for Vučić, it is important to have power over the government in Republika Srpska, but it's not any secret that they both don't love each other.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if Dodik, the man out now, very much had close connections now with the new elected president, and you said it's about control. If they can control someone in as Republika Srpska. Is that now someone in that place? Can Vučić now control this new president?
I mean, Belgrade, it's playing on many different fronts, I would say. So, like in the past, they were supporting also the opposition parties because they want to be sure that they will have the control. When it comes to Karan, for sure, like Vučić will have huge impact on what's happening in Republika Srpska, but Serbia has its own internal problems with mass protests. But when it comes to the power, I would say that Milorad Dodik, he will be still holding the power because the power is not within the position, but within the person itself. So he's controlling the companies in Republika Srpska, public administration, media. So that's the most important issue to remember, that that Siniša Karan will be mostly like a puppet in Dodik's hands.
Okay. Will this, in your mind, as you put it, this puppet in Dodik's hands, I mean, Dodik was very much, and got into trouble for this, about talking a lot about secession from the very complex entity that is Bosnia-Herzegovina and Republika Srpska. In your mind now, is this now going to be an issue again? Will this new president also push for that kind of secession? Where's the secession topic in all this?
I mean, the secession topic, like he was... Milorad Dodik was on the American sanction because of this secessionist rhetoric and actions toward like secession from the Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's changed a little bit with the court ruling, but now we see again like coming back with like this rhetoric. I would say that from what I heard, what's Karan declaring that it will be the continuation. But for sure, at least at the beginning, it will be a little bit maybe more gentle rhetoric, because Karan has different, I would say, character than Dodik. So he's not so aggressive as Dodik, but in the end, the main idea are still here.
Also, I want to go back to that influence, because it was also not just Serbia, but it was also Moscow and Russia. I mean, Dodik himself traveled to Moscow. I remember him getting that special order, this medal from Putin himself. What about that connection between Moscow and now Karan? Is that going to continue as well in this line, or will that be different?
I mean, it was a time when Dodik was really isolated on the European soil. Except from, I don't know, Viktor Orban's Hungary. So he was looking for a relationship somewhere abroad. For Serbs, like both in Serbia and in Republika Srpska, Moscow is very important when it comes to the rhetoric, I would say, more than the action. Because when you think of the influence in Russia, like Russia has in the Western Balkans, sometimes it's underestimated and overrated, I would say. It's underestimated in terms of the influence they have on the disinformation, because like they have many media there, and they try to put their own agenda, especially when we talk about war in Ukraine and European Union. So they are very Euro and NATO skeptical.
On that point, really briefly, because we're conscious of the time, I want to ask you about, for European influence, European Union influence now. What does this say? What does this new president say about that connection? I mean, the Western Balkans matter for the European Union. Many of those states are in the accession process. Just briefly tell us about the connection to Brussels now.
Bosnia and Herzegovina is the worst prepared candidate country for the European integration. It is because of the lack of the cooperation also from the Republika Srpska side. So for the European Union to have better connection with Republika Srpska is crucial. Now what we saw for the last year, it was a stagnation in terms of EU processes and reforms. But I don't see many changes till October 2026, next year, when the next general election will happen in Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Yeah, so this is one brief election, but then, as you said, we have another one. So give us your take how this is going to pan out. I mean, now with Dodik's guy in power, the election's also a year away. Briefly, what's going to happen to Republika Srpska?
Yeah, so Karan will be a president for less than 1 year. And I think that's like this election was really a red flag for the ruling government in Republika Srpska. It shows that like even with the election frauds and irregularities, it was difficult for them to win because the difference between two candidates was very low. So I think that if opposition in Republika Srpska stay united, they have a chance to win the next general election and to change also how the government on the state level looks like.
So a small political entity, but with very big implications for the region. Look, well, thank you so much for coming to the studio. That was our guest here, Paulina Wankiewicz-Kłoczko. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us here on World Talks, but there's always much more here on TVP World, so don't go away.